Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I have another budget family meal for you. So this is another one of my 50p meals, and I'm posting a video like this every single Saturday. So if you like content like that, please press subscribe below and switch on the bell notification, and then you can be notified every time I release a new video. So today I am making a chicken curry with either rice or naan bread. This meal comes in at just under 50p per head, depending what you choose to have on the side with it, but that does include all of the sides that I'm doing with it today. Right, let's get on with it. So this meal is a great one if you're looking to reduce your food bills and live a bit more frugally. It is one of our family favourites, and it also freezes really nicely and also keeps very well in the fridge for a few days afterwards. So if you're cooking for one person or two people rather than a whole family, you can still make this and come in under budget. You just make larger portions of it. So the first thing you want to do is to dice an onion, put a little bit of oil in a pan, and then get the onion frying. I will link all of the costs and the ingredients in the description box below. But this meal comes in at £1.97 for all four of us, and that did include some leftovers which Ian was then able to take to work as well. So it really is a good frugal meal. I think this meal originally started off as a Tesco recipe, and if I can find it I will link it below, but I've definitely adapted and changed this to fit our family. So when your onion is just changed colour slightly and is slightly more translucent, just add your chicken, give it a little bit of a mix around just to coat the chicken in a little bit of oil. You don't need to be worried about cooking this fully at this stage, because you want to get the spices on it before you cook the chicken through so that the flavour can really permeate through the chicken. Now, when it comes to adding your spices, I add about a teaspoon of coriander, half a teaspoon of turmeric, half a teaspoon of mild chilli powder, and about a teaspoon of cumin. This is what works for our family, so feel free to sort of change it up for whatever works for you, but because the girls are eating this, we don't put too much spice in, and we tend to keep it relatively mild. Then just mix it all through so that the chicken gets thoroughly coated. Then you can leave it to just fry the chicken off a little bit. This is one of our favourite frugal family meals, and it really is something that the girls like as well. If I try and use chickpeas in anything else, the girls will not eat it. So every other time I use them, it's just something for Ian and I. But in this meal, I think because you cook the chickpeas in with the curry and it takes on the flavour, they will eat it. So just mix it around, let it get fully coated, and you're starting to cook your chicken through at this stage. And then when it looks pretty much like this, you can see it's changed colour a bit. Then just add in your stock cube and a little bit of water, or you could make the stock up in a jug or something beforehand. I tend to do it into the pan so that I can judge how much water I want, because if you make it too watery, then your sauce is not going to thicken as well. Just let it bubble away, and then you can add your chickpeas. I add the entire can and I add the water as well, just because I think this helps to thicken it slightly. And although you can use the chickpea water as an egg substitute in baking, it's not something I've ever tried, so otherwise it would just go to waste. So rather than waste it, I just bung the whole lot in. And that's another good way to reduce your food budget, is to just make sure that you are using everything that you can. And then about 60 ml of cream. You can use coconut milk or yoghurt. We like the cream, so that's what we use, but you don't need to use very much at all. So I've used 60 ml here, but it's sort of to taste, so you can try it out and see what works for you. Give it a good mix around, and then you're just going to want to let that cook and bubble away and allow your sauce to thicken. When it comes to feeding your family on a budget, you really do need to be thinking about meals that you can either store or use elsewhere, so maybe for lunches and that sort of thing, because that way you can really reduce your overall spend. So we decided to have both rice and naan with this, So I'm just doing a smaller amount of naan here. This is a 2-ingredient naan bread recipe. You can add other things to it, but I'm just going with the basics for the moment because the girls are having it. If it's just Ian and I, then I would add some coriander to the mix. So I'm using 150 grams of self-raising flour and then about 75 grams of yogurt. You can use any kind of yogurt. You don't need to be completely precise here because sometimes you'll find you need slightly more yogurt and sometimes you'll need slightly less just to bring it all together. So I tend to do half the quantity of yogurt to the amount of flour, but the dough is quite forgiving, so if you do find that it's a little bit sticky, you can just add a touch more flour and vice versa if it's a bit too dry. I'll bring it together with a spoon and then I'll get my hands in and just form it into a dough. It's really, really easy and it doesn't take very long at all. It's a very quick dough to bring together. This is the same one that I've used, well, I use it all the time, this recipe. Make donuts with it, pizza bases with it. It's so quick, so easy and very cheap to do. You can use any kind of yogurt. So although I'm using Greek yogurt, the value ranges in the supermarket of natural yogurt are cheaper, so you could use that to bring the cost down even further if you wanted to. So just bring it together. You don't need to knead it very much, you just need it to come together as a ball. When you've got it together, you can just form it into shapes. I am going to cut this one into 4. 2 of them are going to be slightly smaller for the girls and 2 of them slightly larger for Ian and I. And then you can just pop them into a dry, medium heat, a pan on medium heat, but keep it completely dry. They only need a couple of minutes each side and you will start to see them rise in the pan, and you just want to, I mean again this is a sort of to taste thing, but you just want them to be slightly golden on the other side. I'm going to give that one a little bit longer. So you can see it's just slightly golden and it really doesn't take very long at all. And while that one's cooking, you can roll out your others. I wouldn't roll them out too far in advance, although you could, they would keep if you put them in an airtight container. But if you're having them sort of out on the side while you're making the rest of your meal, I wouldn't roll them out until you're ready to use them because you don't want them to sort of form a crust. You can always cook more than one in the same pan, and like I say, you can add flavouring to the dough as well. While they're cooking, cook your rice and then you are ready to serve. So this served all of us. It served all of us as a main meal for dinner, and then it also had leftovers for Ian for lunch. So I would say this does make 4 adult portions. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I hope you have found it useful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!